I overheard my wife telling her friend that she doesn't love me and never did. She married me because she was pregnant and thought that after giving birth to our baby, she might fall in love with me, but that never happened. When her friend left, I immediately asked her about it, and we had an emotional discussion. She didn't deny it. She told me the same thing she told her friend and said it's true. That's how she feels. I asked her why she married me then. She said she'd rather marry a man she doesn't love, but who treats her right, with respect, takes care of her and her children, than a man she loves but who is a fool, incompetent, or lazy. I was shocked and hurt. I asked her what she thinks about our marriage, and she said it's the marriage she always wanted. To our credit, our marriage is really good. Respect is everything, so we never overstep each other's boundaries. And when we have a problem, we figure it out as a team. She never cheated, sexted, or did anything like that because she respects me too much, respects our marriage, and loves our children. Her words, not mine. She also said she knows it's the same on my part. I told her I'd like some time to think about it, and she said to take as much time as I need, assuring me she isn't going anywhere and will accept and work on whatever I decide. I don't know what to do. I'm hurt and confused. So I've been living a dream marriage with a woman who doesn't love me one bit. Basically, she settled for me because I was the best option at the time. To her credit, she's been an amazing wife and mother to our kids. Boy, 9 years old, girl, 11 years old. I have no doubts about her. She never cheated or hurt me in any other way. She is hardworking, always honest, and is a good role model for our children. I've been thinking of some things I could do. Maybe marriage counseling, but our marriage is one-sided in the love department. I love her with all my heart, and she knows that. I don't know how marriage counseling will help because it won't change her feelings towards me. I don't want a divorce. I love her. Our marriage is amazing, and our children have parents who are really there for them and who, if I can humbly say, are good role models. To sum it up, my part of the marriage is completely filled with love and respect, while hers is entirely based on respect alone. Minor edit. She earns more than me, so she isn't with me for my money. We have been married for 12 years and have known each other for about 15. I would like to add something here that I answered in the comments. We started as friends, then became friends with benefits, and over time we evolved into what we are now. I was her only FWB. She had many friends, but I was the only one with benefits. Her ex-boyfriend treated her very poorly, so I think that might have affected her to some extent. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. It concerns me that she says she doesn't love you. I can understand that she may not feel in love with you, which is sad and hurtful on its own. But after this many years of marriage and raising children together, in what you've described as an otherwise happy, healthy, and functional partnership, you would think she'd at least be able to say she loves you. Maybe not in a passionate, romantic way, but at least in the way one feels love for a close friend or family member, whom they respect and deeply care for. The honeymoon phase doesn't last. If there were at least another kind of deep, abiding love here, I could see this being salvageable. But I don't know if I could live with a partner who can't even say they love me after a decade plus of marriage. I'm so sorry, OP. This must be crushing. Seek counseling at the very least to help you sort out whether this is a relationship that's healthy for you to stay in. Comment 2. OP, I think she loves you, but she doesn't know it. Because there's love in all that you said about her. She's a great wife and a great mother. She respects you and respects your marriage and boundaries. I really think she loves you, but her definition of love must be something fairy tale-like. Heart-thumping, stomach-aching, etc. She's confusing love with lust. There's lust and there's love, which is quiet and gentle and unsurprising, but strong and unwavering. I really do think she loves you, OP. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So, it's been a few days since that bombshell dropped. I thought things couldn't get more complicated, but life has a funny way of proving you wrong. The day after our big talk, my wife's ex-boyfriend showed up out of the blue. Turns out he's been trying to get back into her life, sending messages, gifts, the whole 9 yards. She never mentioned it because she didn't want to worry me. But there he was on our doorstep, begging for a second chance. She told him to leave, that she's married with kids and happy. He didn't take it well. Started yelling about how they were meant to be together, how I was just a stand-in. I was about to step in when our son, bless his heart, came to his mom's defense. Told the guy to back off and leave his mom alone. It was a mess. The ex finally left, but the damage was done. Our kids were shaken up and my wife was visibly upset. The next day, she sat me down and said she needed to make a choice. She could see how her past was threatening our family, and she couldn't let that happen. She told me she was going to take legal action against the ex to keep him away for good. It was a side of her I hadn't seen before, fierce and protective. It made me see her in a new light, not just as my wife, but as a mother who'd do anything for her kids. But then, as if we hadn't had enough drama, my brother called. He's been in some financial trouble and he asked me for a loan, a big one. I wanted to help him, I really did, but it meant dipping into our savings, which we'd been building for the kids' education. I was torn. I knew my wife would be against it, but he's family. I brought it up with her, and as expected, she was against it. Said we had to think of our kids first, but she also said it was ultimately my decision since I was the one he asked. It felt like a test, one I wasn't sure I wanted to pass. I was stuck between helping my brother and protecting our future. I decided to go against my wife's wishes and lend my brother the money. It was a tough call, but he promised to pay it back with interest. My wife was disappointed, to say the least. She didn't say much, just that she hoped I knew what I was doing. And then, as if to add insult to injury, my wife's ex tried to contact her again. This time, through a letter, apologizing, saying he was getting help, trying to be a better man. My wife showed it to me, torn between her past and our present. She didn't want to respond, but part of her felt guilty for his downward spiral. I told her she had nothing to feel guilty about, that she needed to focus on us, on our family. She agreed, but I could tell she was struggling with it. It was like she was being pulled in two different directions, and I couldn't help but feel like I was the one doing the pulling. The next day, she got a call from her lawyer. The restraining order against her ex was granted. It was a relief, but it also felt like a wake-up call. We were dealing with real problems, not just feelings or what-ifs. It was about keeping our family safe and secure. That night, we sat down with the kids and talked to them about everything that had happened. We reassured them that they were our top priority and that we'd do whatever it took to keep them safe. It was a moment of unity, of us against the world. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like my wife and I were truly on the same page. So that's where we're at. It's been pretty hard on us, but I think we're coming out of it stronger. I'm still hurt by what my wife said, but I'm starting to understand her a bit more. And maybe, just maybe, we're building something new from the ashes of all this drama. Thanks for reading. My boyfriend promised to stop liking other women's photos. But when his ex showed up at work, I threw a surprise party and made sure that she saw what she was missing out on. I've been with my boyfriend for about 2.5 years now. About a year in, we had a chat that I wasn't comfortable with him liking Instagram posts of models wearing nothing, or very close to it. We all know the girls I'm talking about. It all worked out well. He agreed to stop, and he did. During this chat, I established that corn in private was fine, but Instagram is way too public and way too personal. It's embarrassing that the whole world can see what corn you're whacking it to. It's gross and violating to be looking at what is essentially corn around other people. Don't act like you don't scroll in public. In some cases, it's paranoia-inducing for your significant other, so to think that the people you're liking could know that you're into them and could get in touch if they really wanted. Here's the thing. I never specifically said I wasn't comfortable with him following these accounts. While initially this was not causing issues, lately it's becoming more and more of a problem for me because they seem to be popping up on his feed more and more. There are few things that turn me off more than seeing my partner ogling other women. There have been times where I walk up behind him at his desk, ready to spin that chair and jump his bones, only to see an butt scroll past, and immediately any desire has just vanished. There have been times I've been lying in bed next to him, waiting for the perfect moment to get his pants off and go to town. Then I catch a glimpse of a pair of breasts, and suddenly, it's the Sahara Desert down there. He doesn't even have to stop scrolling and look. I just see it on his feed and get a case of temporary ick. As far as I can tell, I have 3 options, all of which have their downsides. 1, I continue as is, and both of us have less intimacy than we could be having, which is a major bummer, and I already know is not the correct choice. 2, I ask him to unfollow said accounts, but I feel like I'm opening old wounds and I'm worried about coming off as controlling. 3, I tell him he's losing out on head because of his Instagram thoughts, and let him make his own choice. While 100% true, it feels exactly like option 2, with added peer pressure. As I'm typing, I realize I'd definitely be very upset if he didn't choose me over them. So is this really just setting myself up for disappointment? So, there's my dilemma. Any advice will be much appreciated, and if anyone has a magical 4th option, I'd love to hear it. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1 had the same problem. I told him in the first few months of dating that I find it disgusting that he follows half-naked models. It makes him look desperate and turns me off. He said he doesn't want to give me the disgust and immediately unfollowed. Good luck. Comment 2. Just have a calm conversation. I thought it wouldn't be an issue for me, but it is. It really turns me off when I see it on your feed. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for the latest. So, the situation with my boyfriend and his Instagram habits took a turn for the worse. Just when I thought we had this whole liking and following models thing under control, I caught him commenting on one of those pictures. It was like a punch in the gut. I mean, we had a clear talk about this, right? I didn't want to be that person who snoops, but something felt off. So I checked his phone while he was in the shower, and there it was, his comment. Nothing too flirty, but still, it crossed the line for me. It was a simple, but it might as well have been a love letter as far as I was concerned. I felt betrayed, and it was eating me up inside. I had to confront him. It was a tough conversation, full of tension. I told him how it made me feel, how it was affecting our intimacy. He apologized, said he didn't realize it was a big deal, and promised to stop. But trust is like a mirror, you know? Once it's cracked, you always see that line. Then, out of nowhere, his ex slid into the picture. She started working at his office, and I could tell it was messing with his head. They had history, and I could see the old sparks in his eyes when he talked about accidentally bumping into her at the coffee machine. It was like a soap opera, and I was the audience, not knowing if I was about to watch a romance or a tragedy. I had to do something bold. I decided to throw a surprise party for his birthday, inviting all our friends and his colleagues, including her. I figured it was a way to show I wasn't threatened and to mark my territory, so to speak. It was a gamble, but I had to take the risk. The party was a hit. Everyone had a blast, and I could see he appreciated the effort. But the real test came when his ex approached me. She was all sweet and nice, but I could tell she was sizing me up. We had a chat, and I made it clear, without being too obvious, that he and I were solid. After the party, things started to change. He became more attentive, more present. It was like he finally saw what he had right in front of him. We started having real conversations again about us, about the future. It felt like we were reconnecting on a deeper level. And then, the moment of truth came. He was scrolling through Instagram, and I braced myself for the usual. But he just kept scrolling past those accounts, not even pausing. Later that night, he told me he had unfollowed all of them. He said he realized how much it was hurting me and our relationship. He chose us over some fantasy. It was a relief, like a weight had been lifted. Our intimacy came back stronger than ever. It was like we were making up for lost time. I guess sometimes you have to face the risk head on to come out on the other side. Thanks for reading, it means a lot. My friend's wife tried to seduce me while we fixed up their house. So I exposed her cheating and watched her life crumble. My wife, 35 years old, and I, 40 years old, are very close friends with another couple. We met because our kids are in the same school grade and activities. We have gotten very close over the years. We invite each other out and go to dinner together as couples. We do birthdays, etc. together. My wife is very close with her, and I'm very close with the husband. We may as well be family. Recently, he and I have been working on fixing up their first house. They are in the process of selling because they bought a bigger house. I was there doing some demolition in the kitchen, disconnecting water lines under the sink. She came by to see what we were up to. It's not unusual. I was the only one there, so I didn't see a problem with that. She went off to do whatever, and a few minutes later, I feel someone grab both my shoulders from behind. Now, you have to know that we're the kind of guys that mess with each other, and I wouldn't be shocked if he did this to screw with me. Something seemed off, so I turn around and there's his wife, my friend, completely naked. Yeah, I'm a bit startled and probably froze. She grabs me and says something like, "Glad you like what she," and looks down. I grab her hand, push it away, and ask her, "What the frick are you doing?" She gets very defensive and says, "You're kidding, right? You're telling me you don't want this. And I didn't just have your hard, fill in the blank in my hand." At this point, I'm beyond angry, and I storm out of the house, go out on the porch to collect my thoughts. She comes out a few minutes later, thankfully fully dressed. She half apologizes, as she's basically blaming me, saying more or less, "You can't tell me you haven't thought about it." Yes, I can. We have never been more than platonic friends, and I've never so much as looked at you as anything but a friend. I tell her in no uncertain terms that's not happening now or ever, and she gets very defensive and starts crying. I tell her, "Look, you collect yourself. Do whatever you need to do, but I'm leaving." So here I am, wondering what I did wrong, and how do I tell my wife and my best friend what happened? And how do I make sure she doesn't spin it around and blame me? Any trust I had in her is irreparably damaged, and I don't think she's going to feel up to talking to her husband. I get the feeling she's not about to tell her husband what happened, and I feel like he deserves to hear it directly from me. Clearly, my wife needs to know what happened. Edit update. I did comment already, which addresses talking to my wife and the husband. Several of you have been very helpful and supportive, and some, let's just say, not so much. The comments here and messages I've gotten asking if they are swingers, what does she look like, and saying this is fake aren't even deserving of a response in my opinion. I will simply say, if you are trolling or think it's okay to call someone a fake or liar, try to do better in life. Some of you have mentioned this could be considered intimacy attack. I need to protect myself and make sure she doesn't turn it around and accuse me. In regards to that, I won't say much more than I've covered those bases. Let's leave it at some people I spoke with were very helpful and understanding, and some left me truly disgusted at how men are treated in this situation. I'm not posting any other updates or looking at any other replies here. I'm doing what's best for me, my wife, my family, and focusing on positives, moving forward, and healing. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I would start by telling your wife in detail since you did not do anything wrong, and she is going to be at least a bit annoyed if she hears your likely former friend's story first, because she will portray it as you being the one who made the move. I would avoid telling her husband for the moment, though I think however this plays out, I would plan on that couple exiting your life as friends. Comment 2. Tell your wife immediately, because this woman knows that her best bet at getting away with it is to spin a lie that you came onto her first. If that happens, then you'll be on the back foot and any denial will sound like you're lying and she is innocent. Just tell her now. Now for the update. Thanks for the support on the last post. Here's what went down since then. After the whole mess with my friend's wife, I thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. I told my wife everything, and she was shocked but supportive. We decided it was best to tell my friend, her husband, face to face. That conversation was one of the hardest things I've ever done. He didn't believe me at first, but when he saw the conviction in my eyes, he knew I wasn't lying. He was crushed. A few days later, my friend came over. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. He told us his wife had confessed to not just coming on to me, but also having an affair with someone else. My friend was devastated. He said he felt like his whole marriage was a lie. He thanked me for being honest with him, and it was clear our friendship would never be the same. But then, the other guy's wife found out about the affair. She showed up at my door, screaming and accusing me of being part of it. It took a while to calm her down, and explained that I was just as much a victim in this. She left in a huff, but not before throwing a rock through my car window. I couldn't believe it. I was now dealing with vandalism because of someone else's lies. The aftermath was like a soap opera. My friend filed for divorce, and the other guy's marriage was on the rocks. The neighborhood was buzzing with rumors, and I felt like everyone was looking at me sideways. My wife and I were getting dirty looks at the grocery store, and our kids were being asked uncomfortable questions at school. Then, one evening, my friend's soon-to-be ex-wife showed up at my house, begging for forgiveness. She said she realized how much she had messed up, and that she was getting help for her behavior. She asked if there was any way to mend our friendship. I looked at her, thinking about all the pain she caused, and I just couldn't. I told her to leave and never come back. I had to cut her off for the sake of my family's peace. It's been a month of chaos, but things are finally starting to settle. My friend is getting the help he needs to move on, and my family is slowly getting back to normal. We're looking forward to putting this whole ordeal behind us. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.